The world has changed because of what Trump has done. And the American people, including independents and some Republicans, know how bad he is, know how much he's misrepresented, know how he's getting close to getting us in a war. I said, as the walls close in on this man, I'm worried he's going to get us to war in Iran. Unfortunately, I may have been right. The fact of the matter is there's a lot at stake in this election.
That was Joe Biden in 2020 saying it would be Trump that would get us into a war with Iran. Yet here we are, basically slow walking ourselves into a war with Iran. And who is at the helm of the ship? Well, it is none other than Joe Biden. It's amazing, though, because as we all heard, an attack was imminent. You know, Biden had a message to Iran. He gave them a stern warning on Friday.
Mr. President, to Iran in this moment.
Don't.
Are American personnel and assets at risk, Mr. President? Mr. President, are American troops at risk as well?
We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed. Thank you very much.
So his word of warning was, back to that one word.
Don't.
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 Don't. It's amazing. I don't know why they didn't listen to that. Why didn't they take his warning seriously? So as we all know, Iran launched an attack on Israel over the weekend. Now, 99% of what was shot at Israel was stopped. But this is going to escalate. They're saying that Israel's drawing up plans to attack Iran in retaliation for their 350 missile attack. Trump is slamming Joe Biden's weakness. Experts are warning America is sleepwalking into another war. And I just want to point out we're funding both sides. We're funding both sides. It is so infuriating, the weakness that we have in the White House. We're funding both sides. It is unbelievable where we are in 2024. I recall that they said the adults were back in charge. I recall that they told us Trump would get us into World War III. Yet here we are with the adults back in charge. And we have Iran escalating tensions with Israel. We have Israel versus Hamas. We have Russia and Ukraine, all under the watchful eye of Joe Biden. The weakness in the White House is what's getting us into these conflicts. This wouldn't have happened with Donald Trump in the White House. It just wouldn't have. In fact, he was asked on Friday about the imminent attack on Israel, and this was his comments before the attack happened.
Iran is on the verge of attacking Israel, according to both U.S. and Israeli intelligence reports.
Yeah.
Have you spoken with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yeah.
How should the United States respond? And the same question for you, Mr. Speaker.
I don't want to say who I spoke to, but for the president of our country to actually put out a warning that he thinks that we're going to be attacked or they're going to be attacked, that's pretty pathetic. They wouldn't be attacking Israel if I were president, that I can tell you, and they never did. They wouldn't be attacking. Iran was in no position to attack. They had no money. They were broke. But now they have $221 billion, and they have Iraq, who has $300 billion, and Iraq has become a subsidiary of Iran. With all that we've done, with all of the fighting, all of the death, look at what happened, how incompetent the whole thing is. But I don't want to say who I spoke to, but I think it's a very, very dangerous period. This is a very dangerous period of time in our nation, and a big reason that it's dangerous that we have a president that's grossly incompetent. Thank you all very much.
Grossly incompetent. I think that is the nicest way you could put it. Grossly incompetent. Billions of dollars for hostages to Iran. Enriching them by the billions. And here we are. Senior U.S. defense officials have told NBC News that they worry an Israeli response to the attacks would be frenetic and catastrophically escalatory. 3 senior administration officials told NBC that Biden had privately expressed concern that Netanyahu is trying to pull the U.S. into the conflict. Biden spoke with Benjamin Netanyahu in a late-night phone call on Saturday, made it clear that U.S. forces would not participate any further. This is from the Daily Mail. They say Republican hopeful Donald Trump, however, has instead vowed that he would make Iran pay for the attack and claimed that such an escalation on the world stage would have never happened in the first place if he was in the Oval Office. I don't think it would have. I don't think a lot of what we're seeing in our country would have happened with Donald Trump in the White House. Biden, the Daily Mail reports, has urged Netanyahu not to respond to the attacks by retaliating against Iran. This is one of those times where I'm like, stay out of it. Let Israel handle Israel's business. Please. Like, the fact that the U.S. has been meddling in the Israel-Hamas conflict is basically led us to this point. Stay out of it. I don't want to be involved in it at all. Let Israel do what Israel needs to do. But we are in so much debt in this country. We're funding both sides of this war. This is suicide for our country. We can't afford to be involved in this conflict. We just can't. And when you look at what we have in debt, what, $34 trillion now? $34 trillion in debt. We honestly can't afford this. Let Israel do what Israel needs to do. Stay out of it. And Americans know that Joe Biden getting involved isn't going to help. In fact, CBS had a poll before the attack of how Americans feel Biden is handling the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Our new CBS News poll, taken before the Iran strikes, show that only a third of Americans approve of President Biden's handling of the conflict. That's down 5 points since February. In fact, within his own party, more Democrats now sympathize, quote, a lot with the Palestinian people. That's a larger number than sympathize a lot with the Israelis.
It doesn't matter what side you're on. You know that Joe Biden isn't handling it well. And they're going to try and throw more money at this. There's going to be aid packages for Israel. Joe Biden throws money at Iran. And again, our finances are in the gutter.
The nation's debt continues to climb, rising at a clip of around $1 trillion every 100 days.
$1 trillion every 100 days.
On track to spend $870 billion on interest payments alone this year. That's more than the United States spends on defense.
This is what happens when you spend trillions of dollars unnecessarily. It's like putting gasoline on the fire. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates, as we all know, which has made buying almost everything, including housing, much more expensive.
Higher interest rates also make borrowing more expensive for the U.S. government, fueling the soaring debt and boosting the federal deficit.
So as we borrow money to help fund, both sides of this war, we're just going to dive further and further into debt. It is a train wreck with the adults back in charge. And you have Biden surrogates going on TV like John Kirby all weekend long, insisting that Biden told Iran not to retaliate. John Kirby, quite literally, was on one of the morning news shows over the weekend. Said, we told them not to.
The president also called on Iran not to retaliate, but they did anyway. What does that tell you?
Well, again, what it tells me, as I looked at last night, what it tells me is that we can make good on our commitment to defend Israel. It tells me...
I'll stop you right there. It tells me that nobody takes this president seriously. Nobody fears this president. Nobody views him as strong. And he's getting our country deeper and deeper into conflicts on the world stage. It's funny, though, John Kirby, he'll say, we've actually been tougher on Iran in the Biden administration. And then he goes on to blame Trump for what we're seeing.
The conversations about unfreezing assets, about waivers on sanctions.
Yeah.
Could this administration have been tougher on Iran? Did it sense an opening?
It's hard to look at what President Biden has done with respect to Iran and say that he hasn't been tough on Iran, that we haven't put pressure on them, that we haven't
given them $6 billion for hostages, right?
Additional 500 sanctions, additional resources in the region. And let's take a look at that ballistic missile. Okay, so they launched more than 100 ballistic missiles. And how many got through? And the reason it didn't get through was because President Biden made sure that we pre-positioned forces in the region to help Israel shoot them down. So this vaunted ballistic missile program of theirs didn't turn out to be so vaunted last night.
Why not support something that would have stopped that program, or at least contained it in some way, so it's not launching in Israel and we aren't having to get it involved defensively?
Again, Shannon, just look at the sanctions that we put in place against Iran. Look at the resources we put into the region.
Look at the billions that you gave for hostages that essentially funded the Hamas attack and is now helping Iran fund these attacks on Israel.
It's hard to take a look at what President Biden has done and say that we've somehow gone soft on Iran. It was the previous administration that decided to get us out of the Iran deal, and now Iran is so much dramatically closer to a potential nuclear weapon capability than they were before Mr. Trump was elected.
Oh, so it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. Are you keeping score at home? All of this is Trump's fault. In 2020, Biden said Trump will get us into a war with Iran, and now we're in 2024, and gosh darn it, Trump has got us into a war with Iran. This is the current administration. Meanwhile, the guy that we should have in the White House, he's in a courtroom in New York City because while they can't manage anything on the world stage, they sure as heck can manage the DOJ to go after their political opponents with lawfare. Donald Trump was speaking from the courtroom. We have that audio for you on the way. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I want to tell you about my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. You know Paul. I know Paul. He's been hosting his investor coaching show here on WTN for years. We run it every Saturday from 3 to 6. But you may not know that he started the show after he spent some time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. I mean, that's pretty cool. He's also an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. My wife and I, we work with Paul. We're happy to work with Paul. We listened to his show way before I got my show here on WTN. And when I finally got here full-time on board with my show, I knew I wanted to work with Paul because he holds himself to the highest level of fiduciary status. And he wants me to make sure I tell you I get paid when I do these commercials. But I don't get paid to be a client. I chose to be a client because Paul's team hold themselves that high level, like not doing anything on commission, which is it's so important because I can be really, really trustworthy in what they tell me, what kind of advice they give me, because I know it's for me and not for them, because nothing is done on commission. And they'll educate you along the way so you never get that uneasy feeling of blind trust. I've learned so much by being a client of Paul's, and you can too. They'll take a look at your whole financial picture, and then they'll help you make decisions. Set up a 15-minute phone call today and start that journey towards your financial freedom by going to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Right now in Williamson County, there are some repairs underway that is going to have Beechcroft Road between Depot Street and Main Street in Spring Hill blocked for at least the next hour and a half. And we'll tell you what the judge in the hush money case against former President Trump just did. These stories and more 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Looking forward to that, Ken Weaver. It is the trial of the century, right? That's what they're telling us?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't buy that at all. I feel like there's been many trials that have been bigger than this one.
Whole bunch.
And it's crazy because it is a former president. You know, he's got a trial going on.
Yeah, I mean, that is, but yeah.
But we look at this and it's like, more lawfare, right? President Trump was outside the courtroom and right before it began, and he had this to say.
This is an assault on America. Nothing like this has ever happened before. There's never been anything like it. Every legal scholar said this case is nonsense. It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this. There is no case, and they've said it. People that don't necessarily follow or like Donald Trump said this is an outrage that this case was brought. This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country. And it's a country that's failing. It's a country that's run by an incompetent man who's very much involved in this case. This is really an attack on a political opponent. That's all it is. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
I love that he says, I'm very honored to be here. Very honored. It is. This is an attack on a political opponent. This is third world country banana republic status. This is where we are. We have a president who tries to go on vacation when he knows an attack from Iran on Israel is imminent. He has to leave that vacation early to go back to the Situation Room. And we have another president who's dealing with lawfare to the highest degree. What happened to this country? Did we not used to be a serious nation? Maybe I'm looking at it with rose-colored glasses from my time as a child. Maybe we never were as serious as I think we used to be. But when I look at what's going on in the country today, I can't help but wonder, what the hell happened? What happened? It's wild. It is absolutely insane. It's also tax day, and I know everybody loves paying taxes. Rand Paul is one of my favorites. About an hour ago on Instagram, he put out some of the projects that our tax dollars go to, and then it's important because it's tax day to know that our money's going to good things, right? Did you know that the NIH approved a portion of $12 million of our tax dollars in grants to study the sleep habits of monkeys on methamphetamines? That's nice. The USAID spent $6 million to boost tourism to Esna, Egypt. Right? Did anybody want to go? The NIH also used a portion of $2,700,000 grant to whisk away your hard-earned money to Russia to fund a study on feline cardio. Just some of the things that your tax dollars are going to as you gear up to pay your taxes on this April 15th. It is 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's Ken Weaver with the latest headlines.
Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. And in the wake of Iran's weekend attack on Israel, Moody's says the price of oil per barrel could go to $100, and that would drive pump prices in America beyond $4 a gallon. The judge in the hush money criminal trial of former President Trump has denied a request from the defense team to recuse himself from the case. Some observers say it could take 2 weeks to seat a jury. And here in Nashville, Metro Police ask that you keep an eye out for the suspect vehicle from the deadly hit and run that took the life of TSU football player Shazan Page this weekend.
And right now, Metro Police are looking for the driver of the car that hit Page. They say that they could either be in a red small SUV or a red sedan, but regardless, that red car is going to have front end damage.
That is Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac reporting, and the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Before going any further, I want to say God bless the people of Israel. They're under attack right now. That's because we show great weakness. This would not happen. The weakness that we've shown is unbelievable, and it would not have happened if we were in office. You know that. They know that. Everybody knows that. But America prays for Israel. We send our absolute support to everyone in harm's way.
That was Donald Trump at his rally over the weekend in Pennsylvania. And that's how he opened it up. Pray for Israel. Pray for the people. I mean, you watch some of those videos as the drones and the missiles are coming through and the people in the streets screaming and running. It's insane. It's insane. Again, 99% of it was stopped by the grace of God, right? But none of this would have happened if Joe Biden was not president. None of it. I keep coming back to that. None of it would have happened if Joe Biden was not president. Eric in Watertown wants to talk about Israel. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Eric?
Hey, good morning, man. This is Eric in Morristown again.
Oh, what's up, Eric? How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good, man. Hey, I'm real quick as an aside. I'm wondering if you guys are listening to or watching my messenger thread over the weekend, because this is like some of the points I was bringing up. Here's the thing. I did some training with those cats, IDF, Gavati. They're reconnaissance and our surveillance assets with the IDF like 20-something years ago, right?
Okay.
So these cats know what's going on. They know where this stuff's getting launched from. They know where it's going to impact generally. But here's the situation, and this is my opinion. It's not Biden. This is Obama 3.0 going on right now. This is his entire foreign policy. This is his entire State Department, information going downrange on this. This is Susan Power. She was one of the ones that was headed up when she was ambassador to the UN under Obama. I said, we should ban, divest, and sanction Israel, that whole BDS movement that was going on.
Yep.
She said that we should have a shared responsibility with the Palestinians, yada, yada. Here's the deal, man. It sure does help to know. It sure is helpful to know when and where and how you're going to be attacked, right?
Yep.
You want information. How did Israel know that this was? How did the West know in general that this was getting ready to happen?
Well, and they were talking about it as early as Thursday, right?
Right. Okay. Check Roger that. Okay. So just follow me here. So they closed the entire Middle Eastern commercial airspace the day it's supposed to happen. Right. That's what happened. They closed all commercial airspace. IDF, the Israeli Air Force had birds aloft looking to shoot this stuff down. They had their counter electronic warfare systems aloft trying to track this stuff down, waiting for this to happen. The attack occurred after sundown on the Sabbath. So that means nobody was at synagogue. Everything was good, fine, and dandy. So now it's like, how should I say, a kosher attack, if you will, a halal attack, if you will. Now people can, correct me if I'm wrong on this or if I'm going a little too far. Here's the deal. Iran, none of these munitions, airborne platforms, came from Iran. They were all launched in Iraq. They were all launched in Yemen. And if I'm not mistaken, a few came out of Lebanon. I could be mistaken on that last part. But here's the situation. They didn't have a counterstrike on these launch points. They didn't know where this was coming from. I'm calling. I ain't going to say it, the big CF on this. I think there's a bunch of Bravo Sierra going on in this because both sides look strong on this. Okay, we have been funding Iran. One of the last things the Obama administration did was dump 400+ million in euros in pallets on the tarmac.
Pallets of cash. Pallets of cash.
You remember that. Okay, good. So now, President Trump comes in. What happened? The whole world basically went quiet. Why? Because he was shutting down funding streams that were going through Department of State, USAID, yada. He was shutting down the funding streams. So now ISIS evaporated, didn't it? Remember? ISIS just went away all of a sudden. And what was the Obama administration saying about ISIS? Oh, they're just JV. They got nothing to worry about. They explode. Right, so just keep walking this way a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit conspiratorial. So then we have waivers last fall. The U.S. government waives sanctions on Iran. What they dropped $6 billion, or they found ways around $6 billion to dump on them. Then earlier in March, and even this was Dan Manders was talking about this earlier on his show, that they dumped $10 billion total earlier in March. We are funding this. We are supplying the G2, if you will, from one hand to fight for, we are funding the Iranian attacks on Israel. Now, what is Israel doing? Oh, the news of the day is, they stopped all these attacks with all this American technology, this Iron Dome, was it David's, I forget the other one. Anyway, counter missile defense systems that are going on, this Iron Dome shield that's going, we got to continue to support Israel. And what's the Democrat talking point? Well, we want to support Israel. We do support Israel, but the Republicans are holding up funding in the House. What are the Republicans holding up the funding for? Because it's tied to Ukraine.
Yep.
I am of the opinion, I'm going to tell you this right now, anybody's listening, I am of the opinion that if Ukraine receives the money that it's demanding, and Zelensky's out there now saying Israel fight is our fight, yada, yada, we fund Ukraine, tensions in the greater Middle East will subside. I am of that opinion because IDF has some heavy pipe hitters that can take care of business at a moment's notice. We don't necessarily need to be over there. Okay, there's even reports coming out now that the U.S. knew that this was going to happen out of Turkey. Somebody's leaking stuff out of Turkey saying that, hey, we know this attack's coming, so they were telling American personnel where not to be in Israel. The points, the potential points of impact in Israel. So you get the diplomatic end going, hey, they got the public face on this. Oh, we support you guys. Don't do anything in Gaza. But then you got the funding streams that are funding this stuff. That's, how should I say it? It's a multifaceted issue. They want to get rid of Netanyahu. Netanyahu's like one of the last, the bulwarks of quote unquote patriotism in Israel. They want to get rid of this cat. They've been trying to get rid of him. So it's a multifaceted issue. I'm kind of jumping around, but I am of the opinion this is not Biden. This is Obama. This is Obama foreign policy. And if God forbid Hillary Clinton would have won in 2016, we would have seen this 4 years ago. This would have been going on. That's my opinion. I appreciate you letting me vent, man.
Hey, of course. I love it when you come on, Eric. And I think you could argue that anything that Joe Biden does is probably not Joe Biden's idea.
100%, man. 100%.
But
Charlie Foxtrot, man. I appreciate it.
Me personally, I don't want to fund any of this. In next year, our interest payments are going to be $870 billion. And then we're going to spend $822 billion on defense.
It's time to pull chocks, man. It's time to be more fiscally conservative on all this stuff. Again, I don't necessarily think we need to be funding Israel to a certain extent. You get foreign aid or here and there. Hey, we'll do.
Well, we've been giving them foreign aid for a long time, and I'm not saying that we need to cut what we've been doing, but extra money to throw at a situation that's already engulfed in gasoline, it just seems like a bad idea.
100% gasoline on a fire, bro.
Yep.
I totally agree.
Yep.
All right, man. Have a good one, man. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, you too, Eric. Later. Yeah, I mean, our federal interest payments are going to hit $870 billion this year. Our national defense spending is $822 billion. We can't afford this, and we're funding both sides. We're absolutely funding both sides.
And an interesting question I got from a caller earlier, and I've seen on some of the stream chat, where is our debt coming from? So who do we owe money, I guess? Because I'm not as knowledgeable on that stuff, and I was doing a little research to the side, but I wasn't sure how much you knew on the background of that stuff. Do you know what countries specifically we owe and why we owe them and all that kind of stuff?
So I know we're borrowing from China. I know a lot of the interest goes to the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
But it's multifaceted. So there's two kinds of national debt: intragovernmental and public. The intragovernmental is held by the Federal Reserve and Social Security and other government agencies, and then public debt is held by individual investors, institutions, and foreign governments.
Okay.
But the interest payments alone are going to bury this country.
Oh, absolutely.
Every 100 days, we're tacking on another trillion.
The fact that we're spending money like there's no tomorrow and acting like we're able to just go and print more money because that's going to help us in the long run. It's not. It's just going to bury us more. It's going to tack on, again, it's tacking on that next trillion after 100 days, and we're not swimming in money, we're drowning in the debt of others.
Yeah, exactly. And then, John Kirby's doing his media tour trying to make it seem like, we're better off than we were 4 years ago. And this is the craziest thing. He's on Fox News this morning. Bill Hemmer says, can you argue that American strength and persuasion is better today than it was 4 years ago globally?
You got your hands full, and I was looking back at the track record for President Biden. Here's what sticks out. The Afghanistan withdrawal was a mess. We failed to stop Putin from going into Ukraine.
Yep.
The war with Israel and Hamas has been absolutely dreadful and destructive. Again, it's the first time Iran has aimed at Israel. China's military buildup is substantial. And that was just this morning what I came up with. Can you argue that American strength and persuasion is better today than it was 4 years ago globally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100% I can,
Where?
Bill, and I can do that very comfortably after serving for as long as I did in uniform. I'll tell you, this is a president who understands American leadership on the world stage. He has devoted additional resources, not just militarily, but diplomatically, economically, around the world to advance our national security interests.
Oh, yeah. He says, yeah, 100%. 100%. Hemmer says, where? Where? What alternate reality is the Biden administration living in?
That's where I want to live, where I don't have to worry about all this stuff, living carefree as easy as they are.
But, let's keep sending billions of dollars to foreign countries.
Iran has been a pain to your administration. It has been a pain to Israel when you consider its support for Hamas. In light of Saturday's events, where Iran hit Israel for the first time, or at least tried anyway, those that got through, is it time to rethink allowing Iran access to billions of dollars in electricity sales between Iraq and Iran? Will that policy be stopped, sir?
As you know, that's an item that comes up for extension every few months, Bill, and the previous administration also extended it, as have we, because the Iraqi people are just so reliant right now on energy resources from Iran.
So, yeah, no, we're not going to stop that. We're going to let them keep making money. Insane. But this is where we are, because we don't have anybody that the world takes serious in the chair at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We need Donald Trump back in that chair. It is going to be a long time until November if this keeps ratcheting up the way it's ratcheting up. Trump was on at his rally in Pennsylvania, and he says what we're all basically begging for. We just want the world to respect America again.
But we will return the world to peace through strength, and it'll happen very quickly. I will revive American strength abroad, and we will restore American strength at home. We were respected 4 years ago all over the world.
Yep.
Today, we are considered a joke. It's not going to be for long. Believe me, it's not going to be for long.
He's 100% right, and it's crazy because, the Democrats are going to say Donald Trump called America a joke.
A joke.
And they'll edit out everything else. And then it'll be the joke hoax. That's what'll come next. As America tries to help its allies, former President Trump refers to America as a joke.
A joke.
With no other context. Because they'll manipulate anything they can to make Orange Man bad, Senile Man good. The adults are back in charge. Is this what you expected? It's pretty much. I mean, this is pretty much what I expected. This is pretty much checking out. Exactly how I thought it would go. It's 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk. Okay. Talk.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, tuberculosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete this cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Right now at the state capitol, it is expected that a group of high school students skipping class today will rally for what they call change. I'll tell you about it at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Hand on Air. My friend Aaron just sent me this on Twitter. Do you guys know what this is? Those are anti-Israel protesters in Chicago. They are now blocking roads leading into the O'Hare Airport. So they're doing more protests, blocking the roads heading into the airport. People are having to get out of their Ubers and carry their luggage and walk to the airport to make their flights on time.
Holy cow. Imagine getting out, paying $50 for an Uber, just to get to the airport, and then walking 2 miles to get there.
Could you imagine thinking that this is going to change anyone's mind? You know, come to think about it, I wanted to get into my flight on time, but you blocking the road has really made me rethink Israel versus Palestine.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting noticed. I just don't know if it's the publicity that they want.
It is infuriating. They're not the only ones. Over the weekend in Chicago, we had protesters jumping up and cheering on Iran as the attacks were happening. We had far left activists in Chicago being filmed cheering Iran's attack on Israel. This is what we get. This is the far left anti-Israel activists, and we just give them carte blanche. They're allowed to do this. We have encouraged this. They have learned that if you are far left enough and radical enough, all protesting is on the table. So at a Chicago conference on Saturday, we had far left groups basically cheering on Iran, which is insane. It's insane. They were chanting, hands off Iran. And now probably these same protesters are blocking people from getting to their flights. What kind of change do you think you are going to affect? All you make people do is just loathe your side. Loathe them. It is crazy. But this is what the Democratic Party has encouraged. This is what they've fostered. So this is what we get. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking the potential for strong storms this week. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now at the state capitol, Channel 4 says a group of high school students is expected to protest that bill that would allow teachers and staff to arm themselves in schools.
The House version of this bill has been placed on hold for nearly a year, but that could change this week, inspiring students to rally today, calling on lawmakers to not take any action. So in a statement to us, one of the organizers said that we are in a crisis, and that's why they're planning on coming out here today.
Yeah, Channel 4's Jordan James reporting they're going to start marching to the Capitol from the library. And the judge in the New York City hush money trial of former President Trump has denied a request from the defense to recuse himself from the case. Meanwhile, before going into the courtroom, Trump addressed reporters.
This case is nonsense. It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this.
Trump saying it is an assault on our country. It could take 2 weeks to seat a jury. Rebecca Jarvis watching your money and what could happen after Iran sent hundreds of missiles toward Israel over the weekend.
The first place this hits Americans in their pocketbooks and their finances is gas prices. The national average up 20 cents over the last month. Today, $3.63 a gallon. If there was an escalation that threatened Middle East production, Moody's believes oil, which is about $85 a barrel today, could go to $100, and that would drive pump prices beyond $4 a gallon.
The White House says it does not not have any indication that the Israelis have made a decision on how to respond to that weekend strike by Iran. And in Baltimore, we have learned the FBI now opening a criminal investigation into the Key Bridge collapse. Federal agents seen on board the cargo ship that was involved. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Couple of stabbings over the weekend in Australia. One at a mall, and then another one today. This stabbing rocks Sydney. It's being reported by Breitbart. A priest, Bishop Mari Emanuel, and his worshipers were attacked in a church. It is horrifying. Horrifying. You may know who this bishop is. You may have seen his content on Instagram, on Twitter. He oftentimes goes viral on social media because he speaks quite a bit of truth. He was very outspoken during COVID. He was very outspoken about the vaccines being forced on people. He was very outspoken about the lockdowns, and he's very outspoken about his faith. Bishop Mari Emanuel, so he was preaching a sermon, and this is being live streamed on the Christ the Good Shepherd Church YouTube channel. This is in the city's west side. And as he's preaching, a man approaches the altar and starts stabbing the Christian Orthodox priest multiple times. It is horrific to view. The bishop is stabbed in his face, neck, head. And it all happened very, very quickly. 10 seconds. It happened within 10 seconds. And it's over. and he's tackled to the ground. Some people are reporting that he yelled Allahu Akbar as he went to the ground. I did not see that in the video. The footage of the incident is all over social media. It's all over Twitter. It's all over Instagram because the church was live streaming it. And when you see the look on Bishop Emmanuel's face as he looks up and realizes what's happening, it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. The local Sydney-based outlet goes on to state, and this is what they do. They're trying to make him the bad guy. The bishop gained prominence during the COVID-19 pandemic after slamming Sydney's lockdown as mass slavery. He also claimed vaccines were futile because living normally would boost immunity. They have quotes from him. "Are we humans? Because we're being treated like animals," Bishop Emmanuel said in a sermon at the time in 2021. They're encouraging people to go and take the vaccine and stay home. They have had enough. There's also a headline that the Daily Mail is running, which is just infuriating as well, who is Bishop Mari Emmanuel? Priest at Wakeley's Christ the Good Shepherd Church, attacked in Sydney, stabbing, is a known anti-vaxxer with a huge online following. What does that have to do with anything? A priest was stabbed in his church. You have to label him an anti-vaxxer? Are you trying to demonize the man that was just stabbed? I pray he's okay. Thousands of people have gathered outside of this church, and they are very upset. There are reports that are saying at least 2 others were allegedly stabbed in the ensuing tussle. That claim is yet to be verified. New South Wales police said they were responding to the incident, which took place just after 7 p.m. local time. And that attack is 48 hours after 6 people were murdered in a Westfield mall in Australia as somebody went on a stabbing spree. And they said that person was mentally ill. There's no suggestion that the events are linked, but it's insane. It's insane. I do think that this was religiously motivated. I do. And I'll tell you why. Because this man speaks out against Islam, radical Islam. Not in a mean way, not in a way that's promoting violence or hatred. He speaks out against Islam in a biblical way.
In the Quran, it says about the Lord Jesus, according to their book, أما عيسى ابن مريم فهو كلمة الله وروح منه. I speak Arabic, I write Arabic, I read Arabic. I'm educated in the Arabic language. أما عيسى ابن مريم فهو كلمة الله وروح منه. What is Muhammad is saying in the Quran? He's saying, but Jesus or Isa, Jesus, but Jesus son of Mary is the word of God and a spirit of God. Now I ask Muhammad, where did you get this from? But Jesus son of Mary is the word of God and a spirit of him. Oh, John, the 4th living creature, which is the flying eagle, the Gospel of John. John chapter 1 verse 1, the very beginning of the Gospel. In the beginning was the Word. Look at what Muhammad is saying. Jesus son of Mary is the Word of God. Okay? Don't lose track of this. He is the Word of God. John, 6 centuries prior to him. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God. And the Word was God. So what are you trying to say, Muhammad? Are you saying Jesus is God? That's what you're saying.
That's not division. That's not hatred. That is someone trying to convert people from a religion that he believes is false to come and accept Jesus. And I truly believe that saying things like that enraged radical Islamists and ultimately led to him being stabbed. If the reports are true that this gentleman yelled Allahu Akbar as he was being tackled to the ground, it would lead one to believe that. And the church, again, where he was stabbed, has been surrounded by Christians outside the church because they're rightfully upset. The scene is a bit chaotic outside the church.
Bring him out! 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 Bring him out!
They're chanting, "Bring him out," referencing the man who attacked the bishop. I understand their attacker. No man of God should be attacked in their place of worship. Chaos ensued. And as this man is being held on the ground, he has the most sadistic smile that you could ever witness. He was laughing. He was happy. He was proud of what he did. It is a crazy time that we are living in. But it blows my mind that the media, this man was just stabbed. Bishop Mari Emanuel was just stabbed. And the media starts calling him an anti-vaxxer. The blood is not even dry yet, but the media wants to demonize this man. I pray that he's okay. I pray that he survives this. I have not seen any updates on him yet, but as we get more, we'll bring it to you here. And you probably have seen some of this guy's content on the internet. Have you seen any of his content on the internet?
Not that I know of. I might have seen it in passing and not realized what it was at the time, but not to my knowledge.
So maybe it's just the algorithm I'm on. I see his content quite a bit.
Yeah, I've been meaning to spread my do a restart on my algorithm because I get a lot of like just meme stuff, and I'm trying to become a little more knowledgeable on what's going on. And I followed some new accounts, so hopefully I'm moving in the right direction here.
Yeah, I mean it's just it is crazy that this poor guy was stabbed while giving a sermon. Well, just in the middle of preaching. This individual just walks up to the altar and just starts stabbing him. I mean, it must have been 6 times, 7 times. It all happened so quickly. So quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times. 9 times in a matter of 10 seconds. Face, neck, head. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It is, I mean, I don't really know what to say about this. As I watch the video, it is just, it's heartbreaking. And I pray that he makes a full recovery. But this is what we have. Christianity seems to be under attack. And again, this is after we had an attacker murder 6 people in the Australian state of New South Wales at a mall. There was a man, Joel Cauchi, 40, responsible for the attack at the Westfield Shopping Centre in the city's eastern suburbs, according to the Sydney Morning Herald. They arrested this man. They had a news conference. They said they're continuing to work through profiling of the offender, but very clear to us at this stage that it would appear this is related to mental health of the individual involved. Can't you say that about any mass attacker? Yes, if you're going to commit a mass attack of violence on innocent bystanders, I think that it is safe to assume your mental health was not in the best shape. Eric in White House, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Eric?
How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'll be quick, brief, working, but I don't believe this pointing out the whole fact that he was anti-vax and all that has anything to do with the anti-vax. They're just changing the target like they always do. They want the attention away from the fact that the whole, Islamic movement that is, I'll call it tyrannical, they're trying to protect that. So if they keep the attention away from the fact, like you said, they didn't play the Allah Akbar, you couldn't hear it, I'm sure that was cut out intentionally, but they're going to move on and continue to protect everybody that's in support of Christianity or freedom of religion. And that's just my take, and I just love hearing you talk, Chris. Appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate you listening, Eric, and I totally hear where you're at. It's like, yeah, the narrative shift is so important. Don't let people come to their own conclusions, right? It very well could be that. Very well could be. Just like the narrative shift on the previous attack is, oh, it appears this is related to the mental health of the individual. Of course it is. Of course it is. I saw a video of the mall attacker. He's standing on an escalator, and a gentleman had picked up one of those stanchions, you know, where you pull the little rope out and, I don't know, like the bank teller lines. You know what I'm talking about? Is that the right word, stanchion?
I think so.
So the attacker's coming up the escalator, and there's a man on the top of the escalator with the stanchion with the broad circle side facing the attacker. And there's a video going around on the internet of 10 seconds of that standoff, if you will. Insane. And this is in a society that has outlawed guns, right? This is one of the biggest arguments against gun control. These psychopaths will find a way. They will. The criminals will always find a way to do harm and do damage. They can use a knife or a vehicle. It doesn't matter. It's not the weapon. It's the individual. I don't see anybody in Australia calling to ban knives just yet. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll follow this story as we get more. Again, I have not seen any updates as to how Bishop Mari Emanuel is doing, but they're saying that outside that church are protests and potentially riots. They're saying, hundreds are gathered, hurling bricks, bottles at hastily erected police barriers, chanting an eye for an eye, and bring him out. And the crowds believe that the attacker was still inside the building. I mean, the footage was out instantly because this was all live streamed. One man, as he's sitting there and the attacker is down, he has blood visible on his jeans. He's sitting with his legs straddled, and he said, people are praying, and you come and do this? The police officer at that point says to the man, stop, just let go, please. You're going to make it worse. I'm sorry. How is saying that to the attacker going to make things worse? It's at that point that the man holding the camera pulls the other man's leg away and reveals the attacker's face of Bishop Mari Emanuel, where he has that sadistic smile. It is infuriating. They said that they had up to 100 officers, including riot squad cops, called to the scene. And in the moments after all of this, as the crowds were irate, a number of police officers were injured and multiple police vehicles were damaged. The church asked the crowds gathering outside to go home, and they did confirm Bishop Emanuel and Father Isaac were in a stable condition in the hospital. And they said, please go home. We're just asking for your prayers at this time. It is the bishop and father's wishes that you also pray for the perpetrator. We also kindly ask anyone at the church premises to leave in peace as our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ teaches us. Isn't it amazing? Even after all of that, he says, please pray for the attacker. It's 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I need to tell you about my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. Listen, it is that time of year where we're going to be getting lots and lots of rain. It's going to be getting into your home through the cracks in your foundation or any weakness in your foundation that's going to find a way into your crawl space and into your basement. What do you do when that happens? Don't panic. Call my friends at USS. These guys are good, honest, hardworking people, and they're proud of the work they do. And in fact, they are your waterproofing specialists. So take a look around your house, your crawl space, your basement. See if you notice these things. Standing water in your crawl space, wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, that is your house trying to tell you something, and you should give USS a call to come take a look. They've been doing this waterproofing stuff in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they have 25,000 satisfied customers. What they're going to do is they're going to come to your home, find out where the problem areas are, and come up with a unique solution for you. They won't leave until the job is done and you're satisfied, and when they do leave, the warranty stays for life. Even if you leave, the warranty stays. That's how confident they are in the work they do at United Structural Systems. Give them a call today to help you with your waterproofing needs. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, online at USSTN.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
High school students marching and chanting against legislation to arm Tennessee teachers and staff in schools. We'll let you hear some of that. Also, what went on outside Chicago's O'Hare Airport this morning at 10:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:25 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. 1933 had the question of the day on the Members Nutrition text line. 1933 says, so I'm paying taxes to send kids to school for the kids to leave school and protest? Pretty much. Pretty much. To be fair, I don't know if any of these kids are protesting their own ideas. Just swallowing up that liberal indoctrination. So at least they get a day away from that, right? Could be worse. And Patty on the Members Nutrition text line 6849 said, hi, Chris. Who is producing today? Where's Mac Murray? I don't know where Mac is. Mac's doing a couple things, but we got Mason is producing. Mason always does a fantastic job whenever he fills in. Mason, are you on social media?
I am on social media. Not like I have social media. I don't know how much I use social media. I've been trying to wane off of it a lot recently.
Step your game up.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on the internet. I'm trying to stay away from it a little bit more.
All right.
Experience the world myself.
And Anthony on the Members Nutrition text line is mad at me because he thought he had the question of the day. Sorry, Anthony.
Maybe next time.
So there's a lot to get to. I have a bunch of audio that I want to play from Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. He says something that a lot of people can feel. We're going communist in this country.
And we're going communist. Don't kid yourself. We don't win this election, this country is finished.
Has there ever been a crowd chanting, "We want Biden"? Like in a positive way?
Not without the word "gone" after it, probably.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Thank you very much. I love you too. That's why I put up with this stuff. Remember, I've been indicted more than Al Capone, the great gangster. I never heard the word indictment. I didn't know. Now, all of a sudden, if I fly over a Democrat state, they call it a blue state, I get subpoenaed before a grand jury.
He's in court today in New York City. He's not going to get a fair trial in New York City. Everybody knows that because, it's New York, and New York does these things. But he keeps going in on Biden at this rally. You know what he called him? He called him a demented tyrant.
We're the ones who are fighting to save our democracy, and crooked Joe Biden is the demented tyrant. He's a demented tyrant who is trying to destroy our democracy.
I personally, I hate all the democracy talk. Constitutional republic for me. Constitutional republic. But I do like the demented tyrant line. I feel like it's a little harsh on other demented tyrants.
Yeah, it makes them look bad.
Yeah. We've had many demented tyrants, some of them more competent than others. But he talks also at his rally, big focus on securing the border, which we'll get into after the break. But he brings up the Chinese illegals.
They're coming in from China, 32,000 over the last few months, and they're all military age, and they mostly are men. And it sounds like to me, are they trying to build a little army in our country? Is that what they're trying to do?
Could be.
And Biden doesn't know because the guy doesn't have a clue. This is country changing, this is country threatening, and it's country wrecking. They're destroying our country, they're wrecking our country. As a citizen, I demand that Joe Biden close the border immediately. Close it. Close the border, Joe, you can do it. He doesn't need Congress. As president, I never had Congress tell me to close the border. I closed the border. Again, the best border, the safest border in the history of our country. I built 571 miles of wall. I got Mexico to give us thousands of soldiers free of charge to protect us while we were building the wall. We were going to add 200 miles of wall, and then we had a rigged election.
Well, he has a new plan on how to make sure that this next election doesn't get rigged, as he puts it. And he came up with this plan with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. We'll talk about it next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tracking the potential for strong storms this week. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in Tennessee, it's a group of high school students marching to the state capitol to protest the legislation that arms teachers and staff in Tennessee to protect against mass shooters. Fox 17 says those are students from Hume Fogg High School here in Nashville. And right now in Chicago, traffic has resumed into the terminal at O'Hare Airport, where pro-Palestinian protesters blocked the roadway this morning. Some frustrated travelers could be seen getting out of cars and walking toward the airport. Meanwhile, police are there, not doing anything about it. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is that time of the year where we're using our heat and our AC. I'm guilty of it myself. It's a little chilly in the morning. Kick on your heat to get rid of the chill, and then it's warm in the afternoon, so you got to kick that AC on. If you haven't gotten your system serviced the best way, the Busy Bee way with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, you are waiting for a problem to pop up with one or both this time of year. It's time to be proactive. Don't wait for that problem. Keep your units in tip-top shape, tippy-toppy, whether you need that annual maintenance, repair, or replacement plumbing, heating, or air system. The guys who I trust are at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And maybe you do need to replace your AC. Maybe you're looking down the horizon, you see summer is coming up, and you are dreading it. What am I going to do? My AC went out at the end of last year. Well, call Busy Bee, because if you do need to replace your AC system, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. Busy Bee will give you up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit, and it'll pay in so many ways. To sign up to be a Beehive member, that way you don't have to replace your system, because when you're a Beehive member, you get the thorough annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems. You get no overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. It'll pay for itself to become a Beehive member. Plus, Beehive will always, Busy Bee will always come see you on Saturday. They have those availability hours for your convenience, so you'll never be left waiting all weekend long to have your heat or AC fixed. Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling at 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833, or online at busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. So one of the big things that were making the rounds over the weekend was Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson announcing an election integrity bill, calling it common sense. So Trump and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, they appeared together for a joint press conference at Mar-a-Lago to promote this election integrity bill. It was a cool press conference. I support the bill. We'll get into that in a second. Trump laid it out, but one of the things that I thought was interesting was that he really said that he supports Mike Johnson, which I know a lot of people have been kind of swaying on. Do we support Mike Johnson? Do we? I mean, he was the deciding vote to allow a warrantless spying on American citizens to continue. But Trump says he supports the Speaker of the House. He says, the guy's got a tough job, but I think he's been doing okay.
But we probably have 15 million people, and they come from places that you don't want to know about, and they're going to be big problems, and it's getting worse. It's migrant crime. It's a new category of crime, migrant crime. And I just demand, as a citizen, I demand the border has to be closed. Our country cannot take it. No country could take it. It's not sustainable by any country. And we want to also mention election interference, and we want to talk about election integrity for a little while. But basically, that's what we're working on. And I'll introduce the Speaker, who you know very well. He's doing a really good job under very tough circumstances. And I appreciate he came to Mar-a-Lago. We have a great conference, and there's a big turnout because people want this to be healed. They want our country to be healed. They want our country to be united. And I think most people are united on the fact that they don't want people pouring in from prisons and jails and mental institutions. They don't want...
No, I think we can agree on that. I think that the thing that's caught probably a lot of people off guard was, again, this part.
A really good job under very tough circumstances.
He's doing a really good job under really tough circumstances. I thought Trump was going to be a lot harder on Mike Johnson, especially given all the FISA stuff that has been happening. But, you have to kind of sometimes put the things aside to focus on bigger fish, and it seems like that's what they're focusing on, bigger fish. And this legislation would be to prevent people who are not citizens in our country from voting in our elections. This is a big deal. And Mike Johnson goes into why this legislation matters.
But among the problems that flows from this open border catastrophe is directly related to this threat to our election integrity. Why is that? You need to understand something really important about federal law. Since 1993, the National Voter Registration Act, we call it the Motor Voter Law, allows people to sign up to vote when they get a driver's license. If an individual only asserts or simply states that they are a citizen, they don't have to prove it. They can register that person to vote in a federal election. And you see, states are currently prohibited. Believe it or not, the states are prohibited from asking someone to prove that they're a citizen. The federal voter registration form just has a check-a-box, and if you do that, you're good. The states can't allow it. Well, we think that's a serious problem.
No, it's an absolute serious problem. But the left will say voting in elections are already illegal if you're not a citizen. Okay, well then let's pass this, and we can just get it off the table, and we'll move on. But House Republicans are going to be introducing this new bill to make sure that this is rectified.
And so what we're going to do is the House Republicans are introducing a bill that will require proof of citizenship to vote. It seems like common sense. I'm sure all of us would agree. We only want U.S. citizens to vote in U.S. elections. But there are some Democrats who don't want to do that. We believe that one of their designs, one of the reasons for this open border, which everybody asks all around the country, why would they do this? Why would they allow all this chaos? Why the violence? Because they want to turn these people into voters.
Yeah, and we've been saying that for a long time here on WTN. That is the absolute game plan. We want to turn them into voters. That's what the Democrats want. In fact, it's interesting. I saw a story where Breitbart reported it. The Coast Guard officials intercepted 16 migrants on a homemade boat coming for Florida from Cuba, and they sent them back to Cuba. It's like, well, no. We don't want those asylum seekers because the ones coming from Cuba will probably vote against socialism and communism because they've seen it firsthand. But United States Coast Guard officials intercepted those 16 migrants and turned them right around. Isn't that fascinating? If they were from Venezuela or Haiti, do you think they would have turned them right around? I don't know. Maybe. They tend to lean the other way. But Mike Johnson goes on to say this current administration encourages illegal aliens to go to welfare offices. And once you're in a welfare office, you're going to be asked if you want to register to vote.
Right now, the administration is encouraging illegals to go to their local welfare office to sign up for benefits. Well, guess what? When you go to a welfare office, they also ask you if you would like to register to vote. And so many people, we think, are going to do that. And you know what? The numbers are so high. There's so many millions of illegals in the country that if only 1 out of 100 voted, they would cast potentially hundreds of thousands of votes in the election. That could turn an election. This could be a tight election in our congressional races around the country. It could, if there are enough votes, affect the presidential election. And so that's why House Republicans are going to act. I'm going to announce to you today, here standing alongside President Trump, that we will do everything within our power to ensure that we do have free and fair elections in this country. If we don't have that in a constitutional republic, we have nothing. It's the basis of who we are as a nation, and we owe that to the American people.
Yeah, we do owe that to the American people. And some of these races were very, very tight. Could a few thousand votes here or there affect local races? Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you have millions upon millions of illegal aliens coming into the country, you could be talking about hundreds of thousands of votes easily. Easily. So let's get this done. And at least at the end of the day, make people go on record, right? Because we know that the Democrats aren't going to support this. They'll laugh at this. But they're really outing themselves. Because this new election legislation is important. You have to be a citizen to vote.
And so what we're going to do is introduce legislation to require that every single person who registers to vote in a federal election must prove that they're an American citizen first. You have to prove it. That will be a new part of the federal law and a very important one. Our bill will establish new safeguards. It'll put us on par, by the way, with virtually every other democracy around the world that also prohibits non-citizen voting.
Maybe we can do mail-in voting next. One thing at a time. I know. But, many other democracies around the world, they don't do mail-in voting.
And this is a critical thing for us to do at a very critical time. Our bill also will require states to remove non-citizens from their existing voter rolls. That's a big problem, too.
Yep.
And it will provide access to databases from the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to help the states administer this.
So they're going to remove illegal aliens from voter rolls. They're going to require proof of citizenship to vote. Let's go. This can't be done fast enough. Also, why did it take so long to do it? Why? Shouldn't this already be the law of the land? Isn't this what, Congress is there for? To make good laws? Mike Johnson says it's actually Congress's responsibility to act right now.
As the entity that is responsible for regulating federal elections, Congress has this responsibility. We cannot wait for widespread fraud to occur, especially when the threat of fraud is growing with every single illegal immigrant that crosses that border. This is something most Americans are deeply concerned about. The latest poll says 78% of the Americans who are polled say that preventing illegal immigrants from voting in our elections is a top priority.
Yep.
In every place I've gone around the country, whether it's out west, Midwest, Long Island, Deep South, it doesn't matter. Everybody is concerned about this. We have a job to do. Here's what you need to look for, and I'll turn it back to the president. When we put this bill on the floor, you're going to see a record vote by Republicans and Democrats. You'll see that the Republicans stand for election integrity. And then we'll be able to ask this very important question. of the Democrats. They're going to have to go on record. Do you believe that Americans and Americans alone should be the ones who vote in American elections? We're about to find out their answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think their answer is going to be pretty predictable, right? And they've already started lambasting Speaker Johnson and President Trump in all the headlines. The headlines are reading, it's already illegal to vote in a U.S. election if you're not a citizen. It's like, yeah, but we're trying to firm up how you get registered to vote. Because currently, you just check a box and you're in. That's an issue. And we know how wide open the southern border is. We know that there have been millions upon millions of illegal aliens coming into the country since Joe Biden took office. I mean, I've played audio so many times of illegal aliens where people say, hey, are you going to vote? And they go, oh, yeah. Who are you voting for? Joe Biden. Time and time again. Will all of them vote in a U.S. election? No, of course not. Will some of them try? Absolutely. So we need to safeguard it in every single way possible. And this looks like they're aiming to do just that. So I'm for it. Because anybody with eyes can see what's happening on the southern border. Even Dr. Phil can see what's happening on the southern border. Dr. Phil has been on a warpath lately, and I'm here for it. Dr. Phil went on his show, and he praised Texas while slamming the Biden administration for what's happening on the southern border.
Now, since its launch in 2021, Operation Lone Star, as it's called, has resulted in over 496,700 illegal immigrant apprehensions and 38,700 criminal arrests, with 35,100 felony charges. According to the Department of Homeland Security, since President Biden took office, more than 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed Texas' southern border in just 3 years. And what about our Vice President, Kamala Harris? Did you know she is actually this country's immigration czar?
I knew that.
Well, guess how many times she's been to the border?
Several, right?
Once.
Oh, once. She's in charge, right? You're the boss. But the voting stuff, it's infuriating. But we really also need to take moral inventory here and understand the absolute depravity that's going on the southern border. There were some illegal aliens apprehended in Texas by accident because Texas officials were investigating child pornography.
Investigators say they stumbled onto undocumented immigrants inside a home while investigating a child porn complaint. It happened Thursday morning at a house on Dripping Spring Avenue. I'm told 13 people were questioned, while federal immigration officials later transported 10 of them for processing. The Chambers County Sheriff's Office said they were either of Asian descent or from Guatemala. The child porn investigation is ongoing, while the feds will handle things on the immigration side.
So don't worry, the feds are going to handle it. So they'll probably be released right back into the country, right? That's usually how the feds handle these kind of things. It's unbelievable. But every state is a border state. Every town is a border town under the Joe Biden administration. And we all need to take inventory and realize what's going on. I hope that Congress is able to pass this new legislation. I hope that the Senate takes it up and that we can move this forward. But we'll see what happens. It's probably going to get through the House and then die in the Senate, right? As most things do when it comes to what the Republicans want to get done, which is frustrating, but not unexpected. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're talking about the southern border. Every town is a border town. You have to take your own safety into your own responsibility. And I'm of the opinion that it's all of our jobs, but you have to train. You have to be ready. You have to know what's going on. And I heard Dan and Matt raving about the Glock store. And I was like, oh, cool, a gun store with a range. Like, how different can it be? I've been to those. I train occasionally as much as I can as a guy with 4 kids. But I kept hearing Dan and Matt just just clamor from the rooftop about the Glock store. But again, I was like, all right. I got to tell you, I was wrong. The Glock store is as amazing as Dan and Matt will tell you. I went to tour the Glock store, checked the whole place out, and it's huge, amazing. The Glock store is big, bright, and well-stocked and staffed with the best people you could meet, and they can answer all of your questions no matter what you're asking. But if you're asking about home and self-defense, well, that's what they specialize in. That and custom Glocks. And the Glocks are beautiful. These custom Glocks, you have to see to believe, and they make all of the performance parts right here in Nashville. And the performance parts are awesome. Pyramid triggers, extended controls, tungsten guide rods, and the Glock store will install them for you for free while you wait. But my biggest surprise with the Glock store was their Shoot 270 indoor ranges and what they had to offer. Or I guess what they didn't have to offer would be a better way to describe it, because they don't have lanes. The Glock store has private shooting rooms with personal instructors. I cannot wait to have my first session there. My wife is excited about getting in some sessions there. She can't wait either. Your home and self-defense is your responsibility, but the Glock store can help you take it to the next level. Go visit the Glock store online at glockstore.com. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk.
Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass.
On the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
An arrest made in that stabbing attack of a Christian bishop and several churchgoers. We'll tell you about it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Looking forward to that update. Hopefully that guy goes away for a very, very, very long time. If you want to find me on Twitter, Instagram, True Social, I'm at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. We've been talking about illegal immigration, and it is insane. You know, illegal aliens have come up with a new plan on how to evade Border Patrol. What they're doing is they've decided to throw rocks at drones surveying the area and embed themselves with hikers along the southern border in Texas.
A drone from our Fox News flight team caught a group of scouts on one of the mountaintops up here. The scouts clearly didn't like the drone spying on them. You could tell by the way they threw rocks at it. And the scouts were keeping an eye on law enforcement down below. At the same time, we found a group of about 12 young men up in the mountains scrambling around on the hiking trails up there, waiting for their moment to come down to the U.S. side. The catch is recreational hikers and smugglers are using the same hiking trails.
Fascinating. Same hiking trails. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. And right now, CBS News is reporting Australian police say a teenager was arrested today after a stabbing attack left a Christian bishop and several others wounded during a service in a church that was live streaming. The teenager's a 15-year-old boy taken by police to a secure location after the attack, and that sparked an angry gathering of church supporters outside that building. None of the people injured in the attack, including Bishop Mari Emmanuel of Christ the Good Shepherd Church, suffered critical injuries. Right now in Tennessee, Fox 17 says students from Hume Fogg High School marched to the Capitol with signs and chants to rally against legislation arming teachers and staff to protect against mass shootings.
This is a message to the House. Dear Representative Lambert, do not take this bill up. Sincerely, everybody.
The House could take up that legislation any day. It's already passed the Senate. And former President Trump is in that New York City courtroom where the task of seating a jury for the hush money criminal trial is underway.
The former president's demeanor is listening intently. His arms folded. He's moving around in his chair a little bit. He's leaning in at certain times. I mean, taking all of this in, right? He's flanked by his legal counsel, Todd Blanche, of course, the lead attorney on this case for the former president. And, of course, District Attorney Alvin Bragg is also in the room.
John Santucci says it could take 2 weeks to seat a jury. And Stephen Portnoy says the FBI's now opened a criminal investigation into last month's bridge collapse in Baltimore, centered on that cargo ship involved.
The FBI probe will look at whether the crew of the container ship left port knowing something might have been wrong. 6 construction workers were killed when the Dolly struck one of the piers on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. FBI agents have been on board the ship, conducting what a Justice Department spokesman calls a court-approved search.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Donald Trump in court today. It's the trial of the century, if you listen to mainstream media. Elon Musk slammed New York's Alvin Bragg and his case against Trump as corruption of the law. It's lawfare. They're going after Trump any way they can, and this is just the latest. Elon Musk said the falsified business documents case brought by Alvin Bragg was a corruption of law and lawfare. He said that on Monday. That's a different case. There's so many cases. How do you keep up with all the cases against Donald Trump? He said at the rally over the weekend in Pennsylvania, he's like, I've been indicted more times than Al Capone. It is even a guy like me who tries to keep track of all this stuff. It is wild. So today, he's dealing with this attack because, he's a political opponent of Joe Biden. But this is the first criminal trial of a president. It's also Alvin Bragg. He's charged Trump with 34 felonies, accusing him of falsifying documents to conceal a sex scandal. Trump could face jail time if convicted. It's never going to happen. I don't think that Trump is ever going to be facing jail time over this. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Trump said earlier this morning as he was going into a courtroom, this is an assault on America, and it is. There's never been a case like this brought. It should have never been brought. It's an assault on America, and that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country. Very proud to be here. As this thing unfolds, we'll have more for you. I'm sure that we're going to get comments coming out of the courtroom, news coming out of the courtroom, and as we do, again, we'll have it all here for you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I know Murphy will have updates, Brian Wilson will have updates, and then Dan will cover all of it tomorrow morning as well. Another story that's been fascinating is the bridge in Baltimore. The FBI has now opened a criminal investigation into the Baltimore bridge collapse, according to the Associated Press, and they're conducting a criminal investigation, not wondering if it's a cyber attack, not wondering if this was terrorism. The criminal investigation into the deadly collapse of the Baltimore Francis Scott Key Bridge is focused on the circumstances leading up to it and whether all federal laws were followed. So this is because many reports were that the boat had issues before it left. So now we've learned that the FBI is aboard the cargo ship conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity, the agency said in a statement today. They didn't elaborate and said they wouldn't comment further on the investigation, which was first reported by the Washington Post. But we're hearing that when the massive dolly left Baltimore's port in the early hours of March 26th, that there was word that there was already issues with the ship. And we heard that immediately in the follow-up. But to hear that the FBI is investigating it now is interesting. Will there be criminal charges? Should there be criminal charges? Negligence isn't necessarily an accident, right? Negligence is a choice. And this investigation is coming after concerns about the company just ignoring the warnings on the ship. That's what's happening. I mean, this boat, it is messing up so many things with that bridge being down. So divers, we're hearing, recovered 3 of the 6 bodies from the wreckage. National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Hamdi said last week investigators were focusing on the ship's electrical power system. The ship experienced those power issues before the crash. You saw it in the videos. We all saw it in the videos. And they're wondering what can be learned from the ship. So they're digging into all that information, and maybe there will be criminal charges. The FBI says it's a criminal investigation. That's according to the Associated Press. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to see what they come up with on that. Seems like everything's kind of falling apart around us currently. But we have November to look forward to. The days are going to be long. The months are going to be short. And before we know it, the election will be here. And MSNBC had a interesting panel where they had undecided voters on MSNBC. And the undecided voters were from Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And they all declared opposition to Joe Biden because of his economic failures. So Mika Brzezinski was hosting a clip of undecided voters, and they were all pretty much up in arms about Joe Biden's disastrous economy. During the clip, you can hear the moderator ask the voters whether Biden or Trump would improve the economy, and by a show of hands, all 8 of the undecideds chose Trump. Not a shocker. I know that doesn't shock you, but Mika Brzezinski was a little bit stunned by that.
The undecided voters were also asked how they think President Biden is doing on the economy. Take a listen.
I think he's been absolutely disastrous for the economy.
I agree.
Raise your hand if you think President Trump's policies on the economy would be better for your family personally.
Everybody's
Raise your hand. All right, so that
everybody's
is
hands.
everybody. President Biden argues that his economic record has been very good. Said President Trump's was not as good. What are you keying off of, Sean? Since you had the best smile, and Virginia the second best smile. What are you keying off of to say President Trump's economic policies would be better for you?
In the video, everybody just starts smiling. Like, you got to be kidding me. Biden says his economic policies are better. Listen, you can tell me that you're doing better, but I remember gas at $1.86, and now gas is at $3 and change. But let's hear what they say.
I mean, my past performance of my 401k. I know it was post 2020 and everything kind of flipped around, but you can't blame everything on 2020 for forever.
We have areas here in Pennsylvania where it's just at a standstill right now. Like, things are supposed to be being built and the interest rates are just way too high for people to invest and start moving around.
And Virginia, just staying with you because Pennsylvania is near and dear to Joe Biden's heart. Are there Biden policies that you would blame for the problem? And if so, what are they?
The interest rate is so high right now, and I know they're trying to cut the inflation down, but if nobody is building, no businesses are really coming to Pennsylvania right now to keep us moving forward.
Even if you're trying to buy a house, because I'm trying to become a first-time home buyer, the prices are so high right now. It's just hard.
Is there anything Joe Biden could do or say between now and the time you vote that would make you feel differently about feeling that his policies would not be as good for your family on the economy? Or are you pretty much decided that Trump's policies would be better for the economy?
I mean, I feel like he doesn't even take accountability for what's going on in the economy. Not even.
No, Joe Biden doesn't take accountability for anything. He's not going to take accountability for the economy. All right, so we're going to switch gears here. I'm joined in studio by a guest who I'm very excited to talk to, and we're going to spend a little bit of time with. Her name is Bernadette Pager. She's the Tennessee director of Stand for Health Freedom. She's a volunteer at this organization. Bernadette, hello. Thanks for coming in.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, you got a little bit turned around, so we're a little bit behind. But I want to introduce you and kind of dig into what we're going to talk about before we really dive in.
Okay.
So you're concerned about a bill that is going to that they're trying to pass in Tennessee currently.
Yes, and it's going to be on the House floor tomorrow morning. It's House Bill 2902.
Tell me about House Bill 2902 and why this is concerning.
Well, basically what it does would allow a doctor to accept and a parent to give consent to vaccination once for a child's entire childhood and never again. And this is very concerning because it violates the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. And it also violates medical ethics to not give fully informed consent just prior to a medical intervention.
So I have 4 kids, and this is kind of near and dear to my heart. So you're saying if this was to pass, theoretically, if I consented to give my daughter a vaccine before the COVID vaccine was even invented, and because that consent is on file, they would have consent?
They would intentionally know that they're signing a consent form for all future vaccinations. So it's not like inadvertent. You wouldn't be able to you got one and didn't know you were signing up for the rest, so you knew you were signing up for the rest. But the problem with that is even the CDC agrees that you cannot give prior consent years in advance or even months in advance. It has to be as close to the time of administration as possible so that you have the most up-to-date vaccine information sheet, which is mandated by the federal government. And then the child is evaluated for suitability to receive the vaccine on that day, and your questions get answered. Fully informed consent requires that conversation. Now, current law does not prohibit a parent from, say, sending their child to the pediatrician with grandma, but informed consent has to be given by the parent or the legal guardian. That can be done electronically. It can be done over the phone. The vaccine information sheet can be emailed or however it could be delivered, but that has to occur, and that can occur under current law. But this is protective for the parents, the children, as well as the doctors. It's a legal issue for the doctors. The 1986 Act removed liability for injury or death from vaccine makers and from the doctors who administer them. So a lot of people aren't aware of that second part.
Yep.
So your only protection really is that moment of informed consent when you get information, you get to think about it, and you get to decide yes or no.
So why are they pushing this?
It's inconvenient at times for pediatricians. Say the AAP, the Tennessee American Academy of Pediatrics, is really behind this bill. They're saying it's their bill. It's all about convenience for them. So every time you get into a conversation with your pediatrician about a vaccine, it may lead somebody to deciding to say no. They don't want people to say no. They don't want people to ask questions. They don't want you to be hesitant. And so if they could just say blanket consent and we never have to have this conversation again, that would speed the turnover in their well visits. But that's not medically ethical.
So the House is taking this up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What is the call to action if people don't want this?
If you don't want this, call your legislator, call your representative. So you can just look them up, whoever your House rep is, and tell them House Bill 2902 you do not want them to vote for. If you want some language to go with that, go to standforhealthfreedom.com and click on find the action alert for Tennessee, and you can get some language and more information about this bill and the bill number.
And you work for Stand for Health Freedom, but you're a volunteer.
I'm a 100% volunteer for Stand for Health Freedom.
So this is more of like a passion for you.
Absolutely.
So you just want more information for the parents and less shady kind of hiding of details.
Well, exactly. That opportunity for informed consent is it's a human right. I mean, every human rights declaration includes informed consent, and that has to be done in a timely way. And I mean, I even have here a quote from the CDC of all people. Now, do I trust the CDC? No. However, sometimes they get it right. And from their frequently asked question page about the federally mandated vaccine information sheet, they explicitly say that, you don't want to give it. It says providing a VIS several months prior to vaccination is not acceptable, as parents' legal representatives may not have retained the VIS to review just prior to vaccination. The VIS may have since been revised, and a student's medical eligibility may have changed during that time. This is, parents want to hold on to this. Now, doctors' offices can set up convenience protocols as long as they are giving that opportunity for fully informed consent, and the vaccine information statement is given to the parent. And all of this, by federal law, is supposed to be documented in the child's medical record, each and every dose.
Wild. All right, so I want to dig into this a little bit more. We're going to come back with Bernadette Pager, who is the Tennessee director for Stand for Health Freedom. correct? Did I get that right?
You got it.
All right, perfect. And I want to really dive into what this is. I know we kind of like jumped into it mid-break. So we're going to talk with Bernadette a little bit more and kind of give us the lowdown on what this is, who's pushing it, and how we can stand against it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
It's 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Well, just in time for lunch, we've got a closure on 65 northbound. It is closed due to a crash between Old Hickory Boulevard, exit 74, and Harding Place, exit 78. Australia stabbing attack at a church update, and we'll tell you what the judge just did in the hush money trial of former President Trump. All this and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm joined in studio by the Tennessee director of Stand for Health Freedom. Her name is Bernadette Pager. Hello, Bernadette. Hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's so important.
So you have been ringing the bells on a bill that is going to the House tomorrow, correct?
Yes, going to the House floor. It already made it through committees. This bill is what you call a caption bill. So sometimes if they don't have the bill language ready or they don't really want people to pay attention to the bill, they'll file the bill, but it won't have the real language to it. So I came upon this bill very late. I was busy putting out fires, doing other stuff up at the Capitol. And so it was very concerning by the time I kind of came across it. It had already passed the Senate the Senate committee without them understanding what it was they were voting on. And then in the House, it had passed a subcommittee. And then so I went to the full Health Committee where it was being presented by Representative Sabi Kumar. And I sat there listening to his presentation, and I was very, very concerned because everything he said was non-factual.
So before we get into that, one more time, what is the bill? What's the number? And what is it? What are they trying to do?
It's House Bill 2902, and the main part of the bill would allow doctors to accept and parents to give consent to vaccination once and then be done for their children's childhood until they, take it back. And it's very concerning because informed consent has to be prior, and that doesn't mean 10 years prior or 2 years prior. And even the CDC says it can't be months prior. It has to be in closer vicinity to the administration of the vaccine.
Well, because health statuses change, conditions pop up, allergies develop, correct?
Yes, and product formulations change, and so the risk-benefit profile of that shot may change, and it's very concerning right now because there's a big pipeline of mRNA vaccines that are heading toward our children. They want to replace the traditional vaccines, which had some safety issues already that we're really trying to get people aware of. So, but they want to change to the mRNA platform, which really has proved itself to be unacceptable.
Well, there's a lot of question marks, to say the least.
To say the least, yes.
Yeah. So if this law is passed, would parents be able to opt out or give consent only on a case-by-case basis or be selective about what vaccines they want their kids to receive? Or is this just kind of going to replace all of that with blanket consent?
No, it does not replace any of that. The way the language reads, it would just give the parents the ability, if they wanted to, if they didn't understand their rights and how important informed consent is, they would be able to sign a consent form and then never have to give consent again, and the doctor could accept it. But it actually violates the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, and it also violates the PrEP Act. That's the Emergency Preparedness Act. So the COVID shots, which are on the CDC and the AAP schedule for babies 6 months and older, those are not yet licensed for children under 12. And so they're emergency use authorized still. I don't know how they put them on a schedule, a routine schedule, when they're still emergency use authorized. But by federal law, parents are supposed to be given what's called a fact sheet for those products. And that has to be prior to administration. But I want parents to know, this is being sold as a convenience bill. That, what if you want grandma to bring the child in? Well, grandma can still bring the child in, but the doctor has got to provide either the VIS, the vaccine information sheet, or the fact sheet to the parent electronically, record what they were given, and the parent has to give informed consent. So that could be, again, done electronically, and then authorize their, somebody else to bring their child to the visit. This can happen all within existing law. This bill should not pass.
So we're hoping that it doesn't then. We're talking with Bernadette Pager. She's the Tennessee director of Stand for Health Freedom. If you have a question for Bernadette, you can send it in on the Members Nutrition text line or call in 615-737-9986. We're going to be talking with Bernadette about why this is so scary on the way and why do you think this is being pushed? Do you have any ideas why this is kind of coming down the pipe and why they want this?
Well, as we saw all during COVID, they really, when I say they, I guess it's sort of like the vaccine industry, the medical industry, and public health. They really don't want people to opt out when they decide they want you to get it. they want to take away those informed consent moments that happen, those pesky questions that you might ask that slow things down in the doctor's office, or you might even refuse or opt to use your exemption. And in the state of Tennessee, there are some vaccines required for daycare or school, but you have an option to get either a medical exemption or a religious exemption. And with COVID, with people more aware that sometimes the information being pushed out by public health about vaccine products is not always accurate, they're reading more, they're doing more research, and they're looking at that risk-benefit profile. Is it safer for my child maybe to experience chickenpox and get, the vigorous, more durable immunity that comes with natural infection, or is it better to get the shot? This is something that parents really need to weigh, and this is something that the whole public health industry really has tried to pull back from. They don't want people thinking about it. Just roll up your sleeve and get it.
We're talking with Bernadette Pager she's the Tennessee director of Stand for Health Freedom. More on the way with Bernadette next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Got a big traffic problem, 65 northbound. Part of it is closed right now going northbound in between Old Hickory Boulevard and Harding Place. They're getting everybody off to the right shoulder because of a multi-vehicle crash. So this is going to take a while for this thing to get back up to normal speed. The Christian priest and others stabbed today during an attack in Australia have what police call non-critical injuries. CBS News reports a 15-year-old boy is in custody. Trump hush money trial update. Judge Merchan declined to allow prosecutors to introduce the sexual misconduct allegations a number of women made against Trump during the closing weeks of the 2016 campaign, deciding they're, quote, complete hearsay. Some observers say it could take 2 weeks to seat a jury in this hush money trial update. And money news heading into midday, stocks up less than 0.5%. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at membersnutrition.com. You hear us talking about membersnutrition.com all the time. Your health is your responsibility, so you want to stay in peak health. You do that with lots of vitamins, lots of supplements, but where are they coming from? If you're buying them at the big box store, you're not exactly sure. Maybe they're coming from way overseas in China, like so many are, and you don't really want to do that. You want to decouple from China. You want to buy your vitamins and supplements from America. Well, where do we start? You start at membersnutrition.com. You've heard me talking about the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense to flush those toxins out of your liver, out of your gut, get that optimal gut health. And that's a great start to jumpstart your health journey. But membersnutrition.com is bringing you affordable and quality supplements at a fraction of the normal retail cost and throughout all these categories, no matter what you're looking for, whether it's immunity or weight loss detox like the cleanse or just general men's health and women's health or relaxation supplements. They have it all at membersnutrition.com. And if you go to the website, you're going to find all these categories from anti-aging to energy to sports nutrition. They will help guide you along your health journey. And you can be sure when you buy your supplements and your vitamins from membersnutrition.com, you're buying something that is made right here in the United States. You cannot say that about everywhere else. So if you want to jumpstart your health journey, go to membersnutrition.com now and find what you need. Again, whether it's energy, immune, detox, anti-aging, they have it all at membersnutrition.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by Bernadette Pager. She is the Tennessee director of Stand for Health Freedom, and she's joining us today because she's ringing the alarm bells on a bill that they're trying to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the bill, Bernadette.
Okay, this is House Bill 2902. So you're all going to want to contact your Tennessee state representative here in the state and tell them please vote no tomorrow on House Bill 2902. What this bill does is it undermines your right to informed consent. It allows doctors and other providers to abandon their medical due diligence and to violate the federal 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act by obtaining a consent to vaccination once from a parent for all future vaccinations. And this absolutely bypasses the protections of valid and ethical informed consent. And that really is supposed to happen before each and every dose of a vaccine product.
Katie in Fairview has a question on the bill for you, Bernadette. Katie, you're next on Super Talk. What's up?
Hi. Listen, Bernadette, first of all, I want to thank you for what you're doing. I was going to get the number of the bill again, but I also wanted to ask you if you're aware that that our president has signed an agreement with the World Health Organization that they will take over and we have to do whatever they decide needs to be done in case of another pandemic, and that it nullifies our First Amendment right over protecting our own body. Are you aware of that one?
Yes, I am aware of the World Health Organization pandemic treaty that's come out. I don't believe it's in a state where the president has signed it. I believe we still have time to fight that. And there's an organization called Sovereignty, and I apologize, I don't remember exact website, but there's a lot of people fighting this. So we still have time. And a lot of states are passing legislation that says that we're not going to take part. We're sovereign. We're not going to follow what the WHO says. So, just stay involved. And then the bill in here in Tennessee that we're trying to fight tomorrow is House Bill 2902.
2902. And so what they want to do is make it so that way it's just blanket consent. One time.
One time. A parent can choose to do that. It's not like everybody's going to automatically do that. But parents do not want to give up their informed consent rights. It's unethical. Nuremberg Code, all the human rights declarations just really enshrine the human right to fully informed consent, and it has to be close to the time of the medical intervention. And also, it violates the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. When you take liability away, you've got to make sure that these individuals have informed consent.
So what does it violate in the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act?
Well, when that act passed, Congress and Ronald Reagan was president at the time, were really afraid if they took away liability from vaccine makers and people who administer vaccines, that it was going to be a golden goose for pharma, which it did turn out to be.
Yep.
And because nobody was responsible for vaccine injury, you have to basically sue the government, that informed consent was going to stop happening. And really that's where we are. And so what they did was they mandated that every single parent or legal guardian had to be given a vaccine information sheet that had risks and benefits of the vaccine on there, and it told you about the the compensation fund and how to apply for it.
That's if you're injured.
If you're injured or if a loved one is killed. When this first started, the information sheets were actually called pamphlets, and they were 12 pages long. But over the years, they dumbed them down and watered them down. So now they're just one sheet. Barely enough information to work from. Not really enough for informed consent, but it's better than nothing, right? And by federal law, they're supposed to get, but there's no teeth in the federal law. So surveys show that, half of pediatricians don't even hand these out because, again, humans do not behave well in the absence of responsibility. So we need to hold on to that. And doctors need to be following the law. It's the law for them to give you this. It's the law for them to document the number, the VIS number sheet they gave you to make sure it's the most current. They have to document that you gave informed consent for this vaccination. That's part of what protects them under the shield of this 1986 Act.
And then if they just have a blanket consent form, they do none of that.
They do none of that. And it, we need to hold on to our informed consent rights. It's so important.
I'm with you. Malika in Nashville has a comment about vaccines. Malika, you're next on Super Talk.
Well, thank you guys for taking my call. I'm going to be quick, I promise. There should be informed consent, and there should also be ask your doctor questions 5 or 6 times. Hey, are you sure? You know what? I need a few days to think, a few weeks to think. It's horrible that somebody would just say, okay, believe your doctor, but also believe yourself. And if you need time to think, then think it over. This bill would be horrible. Thanks for taking my call. I love your show.
Appreciate you, Malika. I told you during the break. I was like, "Oh, Malika, she'll be quick." But I worry about the parents that don't care. That this is you're kind of rolling out the red carpet for them to just be like, whatever.
Well, when I've talked to some of the legislators, that a lot of them do understand that a lot of parents like, well, whatever, I'm going to do whatever the doctor said. But we don't write good laws in Tennessee. You don't dumb down your laws because people are lazy or they're not informed. I take back lazy, because a lot of, if you're in the system and you don't have a doctor who's really paying attention, or you haven't done the research yourself, all you have to do is read a vaccine information, the statement that comes with the product. Here's something that most people don't know. The FDA absolutely requires that if an injury is reported following a vaccine that is plausibly related to receipt of the product, they're required to add that to the information that comes with the product, that product insert. The FDA, though, does not require them to do any research to find out for sure if, that injury, if it was just a coincidence, if that adverse reaction or not. So this puts parents in a very difficult position. When you read all the things that have been reported happening, and there's no science looking at it either way, you're in a big gray area. You don't know. There have been over the years, Congress also mandated regular reviews of the pediatric vaccine schedule. And when these committees get together to review it, they will look at, say, the most recent one had, I can't remember the exact number, over 100 adverse event types reported. And for the vast majority of them, about 100 of them, there were no studies for them to even tell one way or the other to weigh in if that product. And I think 4 of them, they said, that actually had studies, said, yeah, the vaccine does cause this. But that the science isn't being done. And so really parents are in this very difficult place. So the last place that you have to protect your child really from the pharmaceutical industry is that moment of informed consent. And, you can do that the day before, 2 days ahead with your pediatrician if you can't make it that day and you have grandma take your child, but you have to review the information. And so part of what Stand for Health Freedom does is we educate. So I really feel like any parent who doesn't care, it's because they don't have enough information that they know they need to care. So, that's one of the reasons we exist.
James in Gallatin has a question for you on the bill. James, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, James? Hey, James. All right, James is not there. We'll put you on hold, James. We'll come back to you. So what is the call to action? How do we get HB 2902 kind of put down?
So tomorrow morning, it's going to be one of the bills heard on the House floor. So everybody needs to contact their own representative. Get a hold of them, call, email. You can find them by going to the General Assembly website. Look them up if you don't know who they are. Call their office, send them an email, and just say, please vote no on HB 2902. If you want some more language and explanation and all kinds of information, go to standforhealthfreedom.com, and then the Take Action button, you'll find the state of Tennessee, and then you'll find the call to action there, and it gives you lots of numbers and a really easy way to contact your legislator.
Perfect. We're talking with Bernadette Pager, who is the Tennessee director for Stand for Health Freedom. I have a question here from Steve on the Members Nutrition text line. It's a little bit unrelated, but I feel like you're a person to ask. Steve wants to know, how would a person who has a 16-year-old that believes their child was injured by a vaccine go about proving it now, after the fact?
Well, unfortunately, there's a statute of limitations. If you're hoping for compensation, 3 years for the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. And for the PrEP Act, so that would be for like COVID, there's a 1-year statute of limitation. Wow. And a lot of parents don't figure it out till years after that expires.
Why is it that it takes so long for parents to figure that out?
Because the doctors pretty much all through medical school are not trained to recognize what's a vaccine injury. For instance, like high-pitched screaming that goes on and on for hours after a child receives a vaccine, that's generally encephalopathy, that's brain swelling, but doctors are trained to say, oh, that's normal, that happens, So the symptoms, or they say it's a coincidence because they are not fully trained in really how to recognize vaccine injury.
Do you think that's deliberate?
Yes, it is. It's the golden goose. So you and I were talking earlier, the thing about vaccines that are so different from any other pharmaceutical product is our government, our tax dollars helps to pay for the research, and then they purchase the products. Most states purchase vaccines for children. They distribute those products. They store them. They mandate them from like daycare through usually through 12th grade through high school. And then they promote them. They spend taxpayer dollars doing the promoting. So if you're a vaccine maker and you get your vaccine on the pediatric schedule, or you get it, the CDC recommends it to pregnant women. So under the 21st Century Cures Act, when Obama was president, they put pregnant women and their unborn children under this shield. So if you get a vaccine when you're pregnant and the baby dies, you can't sue the manufacturer or the doctor. And again, people do not behave well in the absence of responsibility.
We're talking with Bernadette Pager, who is the Tennessee Director of Stand for Health Freedom. We're trying to end House Bill 2902. That's happening tomorrow. They're going to be talking about this and taking a vote, correct?
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm.
All right. So who do we need to call one more time?
Call your representative, your Tennessee state representative right here in Nashville. They'll be in their legislative offices today. And so call their office, send an email, and let them know your thoughts.
And where can we find more information on this so that way we are informed before we call them?
Thank you so much. So go to standforhealthfreedom.com and look for the Take Action button, and then you'll find the state of Tennessee. Click on it, and you're going to see an action alert there you can click on, and it'll give you all the information you need, and you can even just one click and send a message to your representative.
Bernadette, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you, and we'll have you on again. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk.
Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete this cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass. On the leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I get 2 requests on this show. More Murphy and more cowbell. I'm bringing them both to you right now. Matt Murphy in studio. What's up, Murph?
Hold on. Stand by. Hello.
Hello.
How's everyone?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready for, I think everyone says this, so I'm not unique in this comment, but I'm ready for pollen season to be done.
Yeah.
I'm officially ready.
I'm ready for Biden's season to be done.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, I don't know if you heard it or not. Donald Trump, big trial.
Oh,
big
of the century.
Big, huge. I heard you this morning on Nashville's Morning News. I don't know.
Do you think this is bigger than the OJ trial?
You need to turn on CNN and you'll get your answer.
I feel like OJ was a little bit bigger.
I feel this. I mean, 2 people dead. I feel the same way, but
did they?
Maybe not.
I don't remember them breaking into any sports games to cover the Trump trial.
Well, I mean, if there were some sports games.
Did they break into the Masters over the weekend?
I don't think they did, but, they did. I happened to be watching. And it was one of those little moments where, and I understand the whole Iranian-Israel thing is very important.
Yeah.
Obviously, for that region of the world and our alliance. Hopefully, it draws our alliance closer and we don't have to deal with it and we don't have to do anything. I pray that Joe Biden's weakness does not lead us into war. I know that's your fear, too. But I'm about to leave the hotel room and my television's on the Masters. I'm going to meet for dinner. And the breaking news thing came in. They broke into the Masters. And the way that the CBS treats the Masters, I knew, I'm like, oh. And it was that moment before they told me what was going on, I just had chills. Because I'm like, have we been attacked?
Yeah.
Is there a terrorist situation going on? Because I knew that it was an important. And, I'm not diminishing the importance of the event, but it wasn't.
So, do you ever see the meme where it's like the woman at the sports games and she goes, I hope both sides have fun? I want to redo that. And I wanted to say, I hope both sides just get funds.
Yeah, I hope everybody gets the money they're looking for.
I hope both sides get funds.
I mean, but this is and we'll talk about it on the show a little bit today. I mean, this is the consequence of opening up Iranian money, right? Iran has money to play with.
100%.
They have money to play with, and they know Joe Biden's not going to do anything to back Israel. They apparently don't fear Israel, and why should they? The world community's turned against them, so this is what you get.
John Kirby did the unthinkable, though.
What's that?
He figured out a way to blame it on Trump. He said, this is the result of a Trump presidency.
Oh. the one where there were the one that we shut wars down in and did not create new ones? That presidency?
The one with the Abraham Accords?
The one where we moved our consulate to Jerusalem, that one?
I think so.
Huh.
So I don't mean to blow up your whole show, but if you didn't know it was Trump,
wow.
You're gonna have to do a little
it's Trump. I'm gonna have to restructure what I'm trying to do here.
Just pivot. Just pivot to Orange Man Bad. You'll be all set.
Orange Man Bad.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger.